Climate change. Is it a touchy topic within the scientific community? Does it link to constant debate about whether or not it exists, whether or not it's our fault, and if we should do anything about it? And are there an equal number of supporters, both for and against, each of these ideas? Well, no, not exactly. Today I'm going to talk to you about the scientific evidence that supports human-induced climate change, the people who argue against it, and the reasons why we're still being convinced that there is a debate within the scientific community.
Human-induced climate change is a topic of scientific consensus. This means that there is little to no debate within the scientific community about whether or not human-induced climate change is occurring. The Earth has gone through a pattern of many heating and cooling phases during its existence, but the current heating phase has been intensified and accelerated. NASA studies have shown compelling evidence that this acceleration is due to human-induced climate change. The amount that the global sea levels have risen over the last century is about 17 centimetres, but in only the last 10 years this number has almost doubled. The rise in sea levels is due to the melting of glaciers, ice sheets, and sea ice. NASA states that the on-land glaciers and ice sheets have significantly decreased during the last several decades, while in 2002 the amount of sea ice reached the lowest recorded level. The cause of the melting ice is due to the rise in global temperatures. Since 2001, we have experienced 15 of the 16 hottest days recorded in our history based on the worldwide average. So why is this happening? Our current civilization depends strongly on the burning of fossil fuels to keep us running. Fossil fuels, when burned, produce a number of harmful gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. These gases are known as greenhouse gases. This is because they create a layer around the Earth that acts as a greenhouse wall would, keeping the heat in. The more greenhouse gases, the more heat trapped. Up until around the 1950s, carbon dioxide levels increased and decreased at a steady rate, never raising above 300 parts per million. Today, carbon dioxide levels register at over 400 parts per million. With the increased carbon dioxide levels in the Earth's atmosphere, heat is being trapped inside of this greenhouse, thus heating the Earth at a faster rate than previously experienced with a natural climate change. But the climate has been heating and cooling for centuries, so maybe the sun has just gotten hotter. This theory could be taken into account if not for the scientists who studied this theory and confirmed that in the outer layers of the Earth's atmosphere it is indeed cooling, but in the lower layers, surrounded by the greenhouse gas layer, it is warming. If it were merely a case of the sun getting warmer, we would see warming throughout all the layers. With all this scientific evidence, why do people still believe that there is some form of logical debate on the topic? Many public figures within the media deny the existence of human-induced climate change, and it's not based on lack of information. When Australian Senator Malcolm Roberts was shown graphs depicting the rise in global temperatures and how it lines up almost perfectly with the drastic rise in carbon dioxide levels within the Earth's atmosphere, he claimed that this evidence had been doctored by NASA. Senator Roberts claims that there is no legitimate scientific evidence for human-induced climate change and that somehow all the scientific communities across the world have collaborated to produce tampered with evidence such as global temperature graphs. But Roberts isn't the only one on the climate change conspiracy train.
Never use the word conspiracy.
President Donald J. Trump has had no trouble in expressing his disbelief in climate change. In many of President Trump's campaign speeches, strong beliefs that human-induced climate change has been made up to somehow disempower America have been expressed. But Senator Roberts says that NASA is tampering with the evidence, and NASA is based in America, so why would they want to disempower America? So who does Trump think is behind this? That's right, China. Obviously, neither of these beliefs are correct, as neither of these men have any background in scientific study, and not only that, their beliefs directly argue with the massive scientific evidence that supports human-induced climate change. So realistically, the only debate about human-induced climate change has nothing to do with science and everything to do with money and power. Think about it. If everyone set out to change humanity's environmentally destructive ways in order to reduce human-induced climate change, the rich would not only lose money through the less cost-effective renewable resources such as solar and wind power being used rather than the cheap burning of fossil fuels, but would also lose power as there would be no bargaining and trading from areas to mine, as natural energy sources are abundant worldwide. Taking this into account, politicians like Roberts and Trump need to also consider the models put forward by the scientific community that indicate if we do not do anything to stop human-induced climate change, in less than a decade, our planet will have raised in an average temperature that will deem parts of the Earth inhospitable for life. Whether or not you're on the side of science or politics in this debate, you have to admit that something has to be done to prevent this. Would you not rather be safe than sorry?
My left hand out the window, blow a fist at Sydney.